Hi guys, this video is going to be a little bit out of the ordinary for my channel. I'm going to be talking about a Bluetooth controller made by SteelSeries called the Free. This is not, unfortunately, related to the price of the controller, but rather to the freedom to play your games wherever you want that it gives you. It has a built-in lithium-ion rechargeable battery, and it charges using a standard mini USB port, the same as most non-Apple cell phones or tablets or other devices. It should have about a 10-hour battery life according to the manufacturer. I keep it on in a hard Case Logic camera case, just so when I throw it in my backpack it protects the toggles there. I keep my tablet in a padded Kifaru pullout, also for protection. So this is the Asus Nexus 7, which is a Google tablet. It has native Android on it. I'm going to start this video out. I apologize for the glare. I don't really want to see myself in the video either, but I haven't found a good way to not have the glare. So I'm going to start this game out with the controller off, just to give you an idea of how the game controls normally. This is just something you can download from the Android Marketplace, or I think they call it the Google Play Store now. So normally you'll have on-screen controls. You'll see all the different buttons showing your different actions: jumping, running, punching. When you get close to a car door will appear, and you can drive the car and give it some gas, brake, e-brake. You can shoot out the windows with these buttons here, and you can honk the horn. So now, let's turn on the controller. To turn it on, you hold down the B button, or the A button, sorry, and it'll start flashing. If it's doing a slow flash, that means it's ready for use with an Android tablet. So you can see the controls, the on-screen controls went away. When it's in the off position, you hold down A and B at the same time, and that'll change its mode so it's able to pair with Apple products. It'll have a faster flash to let you know that it's in that particular mode. So what I'm trying to show here is that the controls work very well. They're pretty precise. Granted, my driving skills aren't, especially not in this giant van I hijacked, and I don't really have a destination in mind. But there's no lag. Everything happens exactly as you hit the buttons. You can use the D-pad instead of the analog stick if you like. I actually would have liked to have seen them map more controls, different controls, to the D-pad instead of making it also function as steering or direction or whatever. And this is because when the on-screen controls go away, you actually lose some functionality. I can do a lot of things. A lot of the controls are the same, but I have no way to honk the horn. So if this is an actual PS2 controller, if this is an actual PS2 controller, you could push down on this analog stick, but this doesn't have a level of depression where you can honk the horn by pushing down. So there's no way to honk the horn, and that makes it hard to complete certain levels where you have to drive up to somebody's house and honk the horn to get them to come out. There's also no way to do a drive-by shooting with this control scheme. So it works well, much better than the on-screen controls for actually driving or controlling your character. but you can't actually complete every mission that way, which is kind of a bummer, and there's no way to remap the controls in-game. I should have shown this earlier, but to pair it, you just follow the normal method. You turn this on when you first get it. You turn on Bluetooth on your tablet. You hit search for devices, or however your tablet or phone is set up, and it'll come up as Zmote SteelSeries Free. Zmote, from what I understand, is the SDK, the programming that actually makes the controller work with the system. I went with this controller because of the size. It's supposed to be pretty portable, and you can see that it is, but the ergonomics are actually supposed to be much better than most portable Bluetooth controllers. I also like the fact that it had a built-in rechargeable lithium-ion battery. So this is a Super Nintendo emulator, just to show that off. The controls on this are very similar to a Super Nintendo controller, so it works very well as a Super Nintendo emulator. This is Spider-Man Maximum Carnage, one of the better beat-em-up games, 2D style, ever made, I think. Remember, this isn't a video to show off my video game skills, because I don't really claim to have any. So yeah, it works really well. You have L and R buttons up here. Kind of interesting to note is that you actually press them closer to the center rather than the outside edges like on the actual Super Nintendo controller. Not a big deal. And this actually worked. It worked with Grand Theft Auto just by pairing it with the device, and it was already functional. No way to remap the controls. It worked natively with the Super GNES emulator that I have. There is a way to remap the controls, and as you saw, I can use the analog stick or the D-pad interchangeably. So that's kind of neat to play Super Nintendo games with a D-pad. But yeah, so the only thing that doesn't work is the select button. For some reason, the select button does not correlate to the A button. But yeah, to remap them, you go into the control scheme, you press the button you want it to be. So I could make the R button the L button. So L and R are both L button now, but it makes more sense to do it that way. This is a Nintendo64 emulator. Just going to show how it can work with that as well. And both of these emulators should normally have one-screen controls that I turned off. So this particular part of this game turns up a little bit glitchy, just the imagery on the emulator. It actually hasn't been doing this anywhere else, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. But yeah, the controls, they work very well. Obviously this is a very different looking controller from the N64 controller, but it works surprisingly well. For this one, similarly to the Super GNES, you can remap the controls. So the R button makes you use your shield. I actually reprogrammed the L button, which you don't really use in this game because on the N64 controller the L button was like way up here. No one really used that. You use the Z button, which was like the trigger button down here, so I remapped that to be the L button. So that's how you do your Z targeting now. And just to show the ocarina still works. So yeah, it's a really good controller. Check it out if you're in the market for such a thing.